Section 36 of The Dream of the Red Chamber, Book 2. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Dream of the Red Chamber, Book 2, by Cao Xueqin, translated by Henry Bancroft Joly, Chapter 43, Part 1. Having time to amuse themselves, the Jia inmates raise, when least expected, funds to celebrate Lady Feng's birthday. In his ceaseless affection for Jinzhuan, Baoyu uses, for the occasion, a pinch of earth as incense and burns it. When Madame Wang saw, for we will now proceed with our narrative, that the extent of Dowager Lady Jia's indisposition, contracted on the day she had been into the garden of Broad Vista, amounted to a simple chill, that no serious ailment had supervened, and that her health had improved soon after the doctor had been sent for, and she had taken a couple of doses of medicine. She called Lady Feng to her and asked her to get ready a present of some kind for her to take to her husband, Jia Zhen. But while they were engaged in deliberation, they perceived a waiting maid arrive. She came from their old senior's part to invite them to go to her. So with speedy step, Madame Wang led the way for Lady Feng, and they came over into her quarters. "Pray, may I ask," Madame Wang then inquired, "whether you are feeling nearly well again now?" "I'm quite all right today," old Lady Jia replied. "I've tasted the young pheasant soup you sent me a little time back, and find it full of relish. I've also had 2 pieces of meat, so I feel quite comfortable within me." "These dainties were presented to you, the ancestor, by that girl Feng." Madame Wang smiled. "It only shows how sincere her filial piety is. She does not render futile the love which you, venerable senior, have lavished on her." Dowager Lady Jia nodded her head assentingly. "She is too kind to think of me," she answered, smiling. "But should there be any more uncooked, let them fry a couple of pieces, and if these be thoroughly immersed in wine, the congee will taste well with them. The soup is true, good, but it shouldn't, properly speaking, be prepared with fine rice." After listening to her wishes, Lady Feng expressed with alacrity her readiness to see them executed, and directed a servant to go and deliver the message in the cookhouse. "I sent the servant for you," Dowager Lady Jia meanwhile said to Madame Wang with a smile, "not for anything else, but for the birthday of that girl Feng, which falls on the 2nd. I had made up my mind 2 years ago to celebrate her birthday in proper style. But when the time came, there happened to be, again, something important to attend to, and it went by without anything being done. But this year, the inmates are, on one hand, all here, and there won't, I fancy, be on the other anything to prevent us, so we should all do our best to enjoy ourselves thoroughly for a day." "I was thinking the same thing," Madame Wang rejoined laughingly, "and since it's your good pleasure, venerable senior, why shouldn't we deliberate at once and decide upon something?" "To the best of my recollection," Dowager Lady Jia resumed, smiling, "whenever in past years I've had any birthday celebrations for any one of us, no matter who it was, we have ever individually sent our respective presents. But this method is common and is also apt, I think, to look very much as if there were some disunion. But I will now devise a new way, a way which won't have the effect of creating any discord, and will be productive of good cheer. Let whatever way you may think best, dear ancestor, be adopted," Madame Wang eagerly rejoined. "My idea is," old Lady Jia laughingly continued, "that we too should follow the example of those poor families and raise a subscription among ourselves. and devote the whole of whatever we may collect to meet the outlay for the necessary preparations. What do you say, will this do or not? This is a splendid idea, Madame Wang acquiesced. But what will, I wonder, be the way adopted for raising contributions? Only the Jia was the more inspirited by her reply. There and then she dispatched servants to go and invite Mrs. Xie, Madame Xing, and the rest of the ladies, and bade others summon the young ladies and Baoyu. But from the other mansion, Jia Zhen's spouse, Lai Da's wife, even up to the wives of such stewards as enjoined a certain amount of respectability, were likewise to be asked to come round. The sight of their old mistress the light filled the waiting maids and married women with high glee as well, and each hurried with vehemence to execute her respective errand. Those that were to be invited were invited, and those that had to be sent for were sent for, and before the lapse of such time as could suffice to have a meal in, the old as well as young, the high as well as low, crammed in a black mass every bit of the available space in the rooms. Only Mrs. Xie and Dowager Lady Jia sat opposite to each other. Madame Xing and Wang simply seated themselves on 2 chairs, which faced the door of the apartment. Baochai and her 5 or 6 cousins occupied the stove coach. Baoyu sat on his grandmother's lap. Below, the whole extent of the floor was crowded with inmates on their feet. But old Lady Jia forthwith desired that a few small stools should be fetched. When brought, these were proffered to Lai Da's mother and some other nurses who were advanced in years and held in respect. For it was the custom in the Jia mansion that the family servants who had waited upon any of the fathers or mothers should enjoy a higher status than even young masters and mistresses. Hence it was that while Mrs. Yu, Lady Feng, and other ladies remained standing below, Lai Da's mother and 3 or 4 other old nurses had, after excusing themselves for their rudeness, seated themselves on small stools. Dowager Lady Jia recounted, with a face beaming with smiles, the suggestions she had shortly made for the benefit of the various inmates present, and one and all, of course, were only too ready to contribute for the entertainment. More, some of them were on friendly terms with Lady Feng, so they, of their own free will, adopted the proposal. Others lived in fear and trembling of Lady Feng, and these were only too anxious to make up to her. Everyone, besides, could well afford the means, so that as soon as they heard of the proposed subscriptions, they, with one consent, signified their acquiescence. "I'll give 20 taels," old Lady Jia was the first to say with a smile playing round her lips. "I'll follow your lead," dear senior, Mrs. Xie smiled, and also subscribed 20 taels. "We don't presume to place ourselves on an equal footing with your ladyship," Madame Xing and Wang pleaded. "We, of course, come 1 degree lower. Each of us, therefore, will contribute 16 taels. We too naturally rank 1 step lower." Mrs. Yu and Li Wen also smiled. "So we'll each give 12 taels. "You are a widow," Dowager Lady Jia eagerly demurred, addressing herself to Li Wen, "and have lost all your estate. So how could we drag you into all this outlay? I'll contribute for you." "Don't be in such high feather, dear senior," Lady Feng hastily observed, laughing. "But just look to your accounts before you saddle yourself with this burden. You have already taken upon yourself 2 portions. And do you now also volunteer 16 taels on behalf of my elder sister-in-law? You may willingly do so, while you speak in the abundance of your spirits, but when you by and by come to ponder over what you have done, you'll feel sore at heart again. It's all that girl Feng that's driven me to spend the money, you'll say in a little time, and you'll devise some ingenious way to inveigle me to fork out 3 or 4 times as much as your share and thus make up your deficit in an underhand way, while I would still be as much in the clouds as if I were in a dream. These words made everyone laugh. According to you, what should be done? Dowager Lady Jia laughingly inquired. My birthday hasn't yet come, Lady Feng smiled, and already now I've been the recipient of so much more than I deserve that I'm quite unhappy. But if I don't contribute a single cash, I shall feel really ill at ease for the trouble I shall be giving such a lot of people. It would be as well, therefore, that I should bear this share of my senior sister-in-law, and when the day comes, I can eat a few more things, and thus be able to enjoy some happiness. Quite right, cried Madame Xing and the others at this suggestion. So, old Lady Jia then signified her approval. There's something more I'd like to add, Lady Feng pursued, smiling. I think that it's fair enough that you, worthy ancestor, should, besides your own 20 taels, have to stand 2 shares as well. The one for cousin Lin, the other for cousin Baoyu, and that Mrs. Xie should, beyond her own 20 taels, likewise bear cousin Baochai's portion. But it's somewhat unfair that the 2 ladies, Madame Xing and Wang, should each only give 16 taels, when their share is small, and when they don't subscribe anything for anyone else, it's you, venerable senior, who will be the sufferer by this arrangement. Dowager Lady Jia at these words burst out into a boisterous fit of laughter. It's this hussy Feng, she observed, who after all takes my side. What you say is quite right. Hadn't it been for you, I would again have been duped by them. Dear senior, Lady Feng smiled, just hand over our 2 cousins to those 2 ladies and let each take one under her charge and finish. If you make each contribute 1 share, it will be square enough. This is perfectly fair, eagerly rejoined old Lady Jia. Let this suggestion be carried out. La Da's mother hastily stood up. This is such a subversion of rights, she smiled, that I'll put my back up on account of the 2 ladies. She's a son's wife on the other side, and in here only a wife's brother's child. And yet she doesn't incline towards her mother-in-law and her aunts, but takes other people's part. This son's wife has therefore become a perfect stranger, and a close niece has, in fact, become a distant niece. As she said this, Dowager Lady Jia and everyone present began to laugh. If the junior ladies subscribed 12 taels each, La Da's mother went on to ask, we must, as a matter of course, also come 1 degree lower, huh? Upon hearing this, old Lady Jia remonstrated. This won't do, she observed. You naturally should rank 1 degree lower, but you are all, I'm well aware, wealthy people. And in spite of your status being somewhat lower, your funds are more flourishing than theirs. It's only just, then, that you should be placed on the same standing as those people. The posse of nurses expressed with promptness the acceptance of the proposal the old mistress made. The young ladies, Dowager Lady Jia resumed, should merely give something for the sake of appearances. If each one contributes a sum proportionate to her monthly allowance, it will be ample. Turning her head, Yuanyang, she cried, a few of you should assemble in like manner and consult as to what share you should take in the matter. So bring them along. Yuanyang assured her that her desires would be duly attended to and walked away. But she had not been absent for any length of time when she appeared on the scene along with Ping Er, Zhe Ren, Chai Sha, and other girls, and a number of waiting maids as well. Of these, some subscribed 2 taels, others contributed 1 tael. Can it be, Dowager Lady Jia then said to Ping Er, that you don't want any birthday celebrated for your mistress, that you don't range yourself also among them? The other money I gave, Ping Er smiled, I gave privately and is extra. This is what I am publicly bound to contribute along with the lot. That's a good child, Lady Jia laughingly rejoined. Those above as well as those below have all alike given their share, Lady Feng went on to observe with a smile. But there are still those two secondary wives. Are they to give anything or not? Do go and ask them. It's but right that we should go to the extreme length and include them. Otherwise, they will imagine that we have looked down upon them. Just so, eagerly answered Lady Jia at these words. How is it that we forgot all about them? The only thing is, I fear, they have got no time to spare. Yet, tell a servant girl to go and ask them what they will do. While she spoke, a servant girl went off. After a long absence, she returned. Each of them, she reported, will likewise contribute 2 taels. Dowager Lady Jia was delighted with the result. Fetch a pen and ink-slab, she cried, and let's calculate how much they amount to altogether. Mrs. Yu abused Lady Feng in a low tone of voice. I'll take you mean covetous creature, and all these mothers-in-law and sisters-in-law have come forward and raised money to celebrate your birthday. And are you yet not satisfied that you must also drag in those 2 miserable beings? But what do you do it for? Try and talk less trash. Lady Feng smiled, also in an undertone. You'll be leaving this place in a little time, and then I'll square up accounts with you. But why ever are those 2 miserable? When they have money, they uselessly give it to other people. And isn't it better that we should get hold of it and enjoy ourselves with it? While she uttered these taunts, they computed that the collections would reach a sum over and above 150 taels. We couldn't possibly run through all this for a day's theatricals and banquet, Lady Jia exclaimed. As no outside guests are to be invited, Mrs. Yu interposed, and the number of tables won't also be many. There will be enough to cover 2 or 3 days' outlay. First of all, there won't be anything to spend for theatricals, so we'll effect a saving on that item. Just call whatever troupe that girl Feng may say she likes best, Dowager Lady Jia suggested. We've heard quite enough of the performances of that company of ours, Lady Feng said. Let's therefore spend a little money and send for another, and see what they can do. I leave that to you, Brother John's wife, Lady Jia pursued. In order that our girl Feng should have occasion to trouble her mind with as little as possible, and be able to enjoy a day's peace and quiet, it's only right that she should. Mrs. Yu replied that she would be only too glad to do what she could. They then prolonged their chat for a little longer, until one and all realized that their old senior must be quite and they gradually dispersed. After seeing Madame Xing and Wang off, Mrs. Yu and the other ladies adjourned into Lady Feng's room to consult with her about the birthday festivities. Don't ask me, Lady Feng urged. Do whatever will please our worthy ancestor. What a fine thing you are to come across such a mighty piece of luck. Mrs. Yu smiled. I was wondering what had happened that she summoned us all. Why, was it simply on this account? Not to breathe a word about the money that I'll have to contribute? Must I have trouble and annoyance to bear as well? How will you show me any thanks? Don't bring shame upon yourself, Lady Feng laughed. I didn't send for you, so why should I be thankful to you? If you funk the exertion, go at once and let our venerable senior know, and she'll depute someone else and have done. You go on like this as you see her in such excellent spirits, that's why, Mrs. Yu smilingly answered. It would be well, I advise you, to pull in a bit, for if you be too full of yourself, you'll get your due reward. After some further colloquy, these 2 ladies eventually parted company. On the next day, the money was sent over to the Lin Guo mansion at the very moment that Mrs. Yu had got up and was performing her toilette and ablutions. "Who brought it?" she asked. "Nurse Lin," the servant girl said by way of response. "Call her in," Mrs. Yu said. The servant girls walked as far as the lower rooms and called Lin Jishao's wife to come in. Mrs. Yu bade her seat herself on the footstool while she hurriedly combed her hair and washed her face and hands. She wanted to know how much the bundle contained in all. "This is what's subscribed by us servants," Lin Jishao's wife replied, "and so I collected it and brought it over first. As for the contributions of our venerable mistress and those of the ladies, they aren't ready yet." But simultaneously with this reply, the waiting maids announced, "Our lady of the other mansion and Mrs. Xue have sent over someone with their portions." "You mean wenches," Mrs. Yu cried, scolding them with a smile. "All the gumption you've got is to simply bear in mind this sort of nonsense. In a fit of good cheer, your old mistress yesterday purposely expressed a wish to imitate those poor people and raise a subscription. But you at once treasured it up in your memory, and when the thing came to be canvassed by you, you treated it in real earnest. Don't you yet quick bundle yourselves out and bring the money in? Be careful and give them some tea before you see them off." The waiting maids smilingly hastened to go and take delivery of the money and bring it in. It consisted in all of 2 bundles and contained Baochai's and Daiyu's shares as well. "Whose shares are wanting?" Mrs. Yu asked. "Those of our old lady, of Madame Wang, the young ladies, and of our girls below are still missing," Lin Jishao's wife explained. "There's also that of your senior lady," Mrs. Yu proceeded. "You'd better hurry over, my lady," Lin Jishao's wife said, "for as this money will be issued through our mistress Secunda, she'll nabble the whole of it." While conversing, Mrs. Yu finished arranging her coiffure and performing her ablutions, and giving orders to see that the carriage was got ready. She shortly arrived at the Rongguo mansion. First and foremost, she called on Lady Feng. Lady Feng, she discovered, had already put the money into a packet and was on the point of sending it over. "Is it all there?" Mrs. Yu asked. "Yes, it is," Lady Feng smiled. "So you might as well take it away at once, for if it gets mislaid, I've nothing to do with it." "I'm somewhat distrustful," Mrs. Yu laughed, "so I'd like to check it in your presence." These words over, she verily checked some after some. She found Li Wen's share alone wanting. "I said that you were up to tricks," laughingly observed Mrs. Yu. "How is it that your elder sister-in-law isn't here?" "There's all that money, and isn't it yet enough?" Lady Feng smiled. "If there's merely a portion short, it shouldn't matter. Should the money prove insufficient, I can then look you up and give it to you." "When the others were present yesterday," Mrs. Yu pursued, "you were ready enough to act as any human being would, but here you are again today prevaricating with me. I won't, by any manner of means, agree to this proposal of yours. I'll simply go and ask for the money of our venerable senior." "I see how dreadful you are," Lady Feng laughed. "But when something turns up by and by, I will also be very punctilious, so don't you then bear me a grudge." "Well, never mind if you don't give your quota," Mrs. Yu smilingly rejoined. "Were it not that I consider the dutiful attentions you have all along shown me, would I ever be ready to humor you?" So rejoining, she produced Ping Er's share. "Ping Er, come here," she cried. "Take this share of yours and put it away. Should the money collected turn out to be below what's absolutely required, I'll make up the sum for you." Ping Er apprehended her meaning. "My lady," she answered, with a cheerful countenance, "it would come to the same thing if you were to first spend what you want and to give me afterwards any balance that may remain of it." Is your mistress alone to be allowed to do dishonest acts? Mrs. Yu laughed. And am I not to be free to bestow a favor? Ping Er had no option but to retain her portion. I want to see, Mrs. Yu added, where your mistress, who is so extremely careful, will run through all the money we have raised. If she can't spend it, why? She'll take it along with her in her coffin and make use of it there. While still speaking, she started on her way to Dowager Lady Jia's suite of rooms. After first paying her respects to her, she made a few general remarks, and then betook herself into Yuan Yang's quarters, where she held a consultation with Yuan Yang. Lending a patient ear to all that Yuan Yang had to recommend in the way of a program, and as to how best to give pleasure to old Lady Jia, she deliberated with her until they arrived at a satisfactory decision. When the time came for Mrs. Yu to go, she took the 2 taels contributed by Yuan Yang and gave them back to her. There's no use for these, she said, and with these words still on her lips, she straightway quitted her presence and went in search of Madame Wang. After a short chat, Madame Wang stepped into the family shrine reserved for the worship of Buddha, so she likewise restored Cai Yun's share to her, and availing herself of Lady Feng's absence, she presently reimbursed to Mrs. Zhou and Mrs. Zhao the amount of their respective contributions. These 2 dames would not, however, presume to take their money back. Your lot, ladies, is a pitiful one, Mrs. Yu then expostulated. How can you afford all this spare money? That hussy Feng is well aware of the fact. I'm here to answer for you. At these assurances, both put the money away with profuse expressions of gratitude. End of section 36.